All right. Can anyone hear me now? Can everyone hear me
I
now?
can hear you. Yes, I can hear you, sir.
Okay. Can you see my screen?
Yeah.
So what we'll do is that if you notice, we don't have any video on the LMS yet, apart from the ones we had. So this session will be recorded, and that is what will be uploaded later, right? So let's dive into this. So in our previous lessons, we talked about arrays and objects. I mentioned how we can create an array. How we can create an array. Let's just do something. Let's create a new file, say arrays. Let's create a new file and say arrays. All right, let's create a new file and say arrays. Arrays.javascript. And then we can go to our index.html, comment this out. Today we are just working with these arrays, maybe arrays and objects. Arrays. I will close our tab. Right. So what we can do is to come here. Let's open our page. How do you do that? If we review in Finder, bring our Finder here. Like this here. Okay, so we still have this our page. And I can inspect our page and so what I want us to do now is to create an array. Let's create a constant fruits. We have apple, banana, and orange. So we can do, we can come here and okay. Let's log our fruits to the console. Console.log fruits. Right. Come back here and refresh. We have our fruits to be an array of apple, banana, and oranges, and orange. Right. So what we'll be looking at today is loops, right? Array loops. That's the first thing we want to be looking at. So what are loops? Loops is like an iteration. Loops are like iterations. If you want to repeat the same set of logic over and over again, you can use loop, right? So how can we use loop for on an array? We can use a for loop. We can use a for loop. And what does a for loop mean? Okay, we can say for. So this is how we declare a for loop. This is the first expression, the second expression, which is this one, and the third one, and the third expression, which is this one. So I'll tell you what they mean. This let I is the same thing as saying let I be 0. Let's call it index. Let's even just rename it to index. Let index be 0, right? So if this is index, right, our initial stage of index is 0. So we want to do something. We want to say if index is less than index, this index here, if it is less than the length of fruits. Let me comment this out. Do you know that we can get the length, the number of the items we have in our array by saying fruits.length? fruits dot length, right? So let me just log it to the console. Console.log total fruits is fruits dot length, right? So if I come back here and refresh, I have total fruits to be 3. Are you with me? So once I have that, what I can do is that we'll continue with our for loop. Let the initial stage of index, the initial value of index to be 0, while index is less than fruits dot length, which is 3, right? Index plus plus. So what does this plus plus mean? This, let's say I have, let me comment this out again. Let's say I have constant number. I need to disable this thing that's suggesting some things for me. That should be cursor. Is it cursor wings of pilots? Okay, so back to our arrays. So we have our number to be 0. We have a number to be 0. I can say constant number. Let me call it a constant. Let me just say a variable number, the initial value. Let's even make it 2. We can say the new value for number will be number plus 1. And what would that give us? It will give us 3. Let me do this. Console.log number, right? So let's comment this out. We have a declaration of number variable and the value is 2. We have number plus number. The new value of number is number, which is 2 plus 1, which will give us 3. So let's log that to the console. And you see we have 3. Let me change this to maybe 10. You should have 11 now, right? So instead of doing this plus 1, I can come here and say number plus plus, right? So what that would do is the same thing this line is doing. It will add 1 to this value. So I can come here, refresh. You can see I have 11. Let me change this to 6. I should have 7 now. Yeah, 7. And if I change this to minus minus, it will deduct 1 from the value. You see, we had 6 here, minus 1, it will give us 5. So back to what we were doing. I'll have to comment this out. Yeah. Back to what we were doing. Let the initial value of index be 0. While the index is less than the length of fruits, we have 3 here. This should happen. You should increase the value of index, right? And let's do something. Let's just log console.log index is index, right? So what this is going to do is that it will continue running this thing until this condition becomes false. And what makes this condition become false is when this index is the same value as this length, right? Or it is greater than the length. So if it is the same value or it is greater than, that means this condition false, and that means this won't run again. But at the moment, the value is 0. Our length is 3. Current value is 0. Current value is 0. Abi, total fruits is 3, right? So what this will do is that current value is 0, total fruit is 3. It will check. is this 0 still less than the total fruit? So once that is correct, it will increment the value of this index and then run whatever we have here. So let me come here. Let me go back to our Chrome and refresh. You can see we now have 3 iterations here. Like I said, it will continue running this logic until this condition becomes false. So let's just do something. Let's add another fruit here. We can say apple. We have apple already. We can say okay, we have some people raising their hands. Hold on, please. We can add pineapple, right? So that makes this 4. And if we come back here, we can see we now have 4 iterations here. Don't forget the initial value of what's it called? The initial value of index is 0. Increase it plus 1, it gives us 1. Plus 1 again gives us 2. Plus 1 again gives us 4. And now we have the total length of the fruits. We can do something else. If you don't want to work with the total length of the fruits, you can say for okay, before I continue, I can take a question.
Sorry to cut you short. Your screen is no longer showing.
Oh, okay.
It's showing now already. But the Chrome is not showing. Anytime you run it on Chrome, it will just still continue showing VS Code.
Okay. Let me stop sharing and share again. This time I'll be sharing my entire screen. Can you see it? All right. Let me just take a few things again. So I was saying that, let me comment this out. Here I add fruits, right? I did this here. We were logging our fruit to the console. I came here and reload, and this was what I got, right? I did this again. Fruits.length to get the total number of items in the fruits array, which was this, right? Total fruits is 4. Apple, banana, orange, and pineapple. I can comment that out. We have variable number, increment the number plus 1 and log it to the console, right? We have 7 because the initial number was 6. Add 1 to it, log it to the console. We have 7, right? And I mentioned that what this line does is the same thing this guy would do. So when you use 2 plus sign, that means you want to add 1 to the current value of that variable. And what I can do is to come here, refresh, and I still have 7. Can change this to maybe 8. So adding 1 will give me 9. Refresh again, and I have 9. I can what I can do, I can say minus minus. So what I would do is to deduct 1 from the current value. So if I refresh this again, I have 7. The current value is 8. Let me change this to 1. Right? I should have 0. I have 0. 1 minus 1 is 0. So what I was saying about that was in this expression, we have a for loop. We call this a for loop. And inside this guy, we are going to receive 3 expressions. The first is setting the initial value of the iteration, and then the condition and what will happen after. So the initial value of index is 0, right? While this condition is true, you should do this and run whatever we have here. So what I did was while our index is 0, sorry, the initial value of our index is 0, while the current value of the index is less than the total length of our fruits. we should run this and increment, or we should increment this and run this. So that is what we have this here. So what I wanted to do was to create another for loop for us. I have for loop, right? Let I is 0, while I is less than 20, right? I plus plus increment I, right? So I can come here and say console.log index is I. Index is I. Something is missing here. This is supposed to be yeah. So initial value of I is 0. While I is less than 20, you should do this and run whatever is inside this code block. So what we can do is to come here and refresh. You now see we have 0, 1, 2, 3, and it stops at 19. Why? Because that's the last stage where this condition is true. Are you getting me? That's the last stage where this condition is true. When I is now 20, it is no longer less than 20. It is now equals to 20. So if we want 20 to be included here, we can say while I is less than 20 or equals to 20. And don't forget, I said somewhere here, I think in expressions, I said this guy here is less than or equal to. So if I is less than or equal to 20, you can now see the 20, right? Another thing we can do is to say, instead of adding 1 to I, we can say I is I plus 2. Let's see if that will work. And if we refresh this, you can see it is now adding 2 instead of adding 1, right? 0 plus 2 is 2 plus 2 again is 4. And so we got up to 10, up to 20 rather. Again, we can say our initial value of I can be 5, right? So let's do this. You can see again it started from 5, added to 7, added to 9, added to 11, 13, 15, 17, and 18, and 19 rather. So that is that about for loop. Again, another loop we can use is a while loop. Is a while loop. How do we use while loop? How do we use while loop? I want to do something here. I want to say for loop examples. Comment this out and come here and say for loop examples ended. All right, so now we want to work on while loops. While loop examples. So while loop is a loop. So while loop is a logic, right, that continuously executes the code block until that condition is false. Are you getting me? It will continuously run the code block. We can say while our condition is true, it should do something, right? Do something. So why this condition is true, it should do something. Are you getting me now? So what we can do, we can say we can say we want to have a variable of age to be 30, right? So while age is less than 100, this is a condition which is currently true, right? Age is 30 and 30 is actually less than 100. We want it to do something. We want it to do what? We want it to first of all add 10 to the age. So we can say new age is current age plus 10, right? And we can say console.log age. Are you getting me now? Console.log age, we can say new age, just add a new age here. Age here. So this logic will be running continuously until this condition is false. Until this condition is false, right? So what do we do? Let's refresh. You can see we have new ages 10, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, and 100. It will continue running this logic until this condition is false. So what now happens when that condition won't go to false? When it won't be false, let's say instead of doing age plus 10 here, we are saying we are just logging into the console. That will give us a problem, a big problem precisely. You see this? It keeps logging new age is 30 to the console. Why? Because new age is always 30. Nothing is changing it. This is the code that was supposed to change it, and we removed it. So it will continue putting that in the console. It will continue running whatever we have here. Are you getting me? And that's a very big problem. If we don't prepare a logic that will make sure this condition becomes false. We call this infinite loop. Infinite loops. Those are loops that doesn't stop. Infinite loops are most often used when the loop instance doesn't have the determination test at the top or the bottom of the simplest case. So usually I can see this thing as arranged. I have to stop it and it's still loading. Usually either at the top or at the bottom of our logic, we have to make sure we had a logic that will make this condition false so that it doesn't keep running. So we'd have to bring this back. This thing has hanged. So my browser has hanged. Can anyone hear me? You see,
Yes, yes, sir, we can hear you.
that's the problem with infinite loops. If it doesn't stop, the system will crash. Right? You can see this. I'll have to exit this page. Yeah. So now that we fixed it, we brought this back, we can go there again. You should see it stopped at 100, which is fine. That is that about infinite loops. So there's another loop called the for each loop, right? Okay, Ikelua, you have a question?
Yeah, I also want to ask when this while loop is being used, like in which scenario yet is saying to use it, or just to have an idea.
In most cases, you'll be using the for each loop, right? In very rare cases, you may want to just do something when a condition is still false. Just continue doing it until the person maybe you are expecting something from something from if a method or a function, right? And it doesn't return you the correct value. I know how we go about it. Let's say we have someone that wants to sign up, right? And the person wants to use a username of a username of username of Ayomide, right? And we already have that username in the system. Existing usernames. This is a constant. Existing usernames is Ayomide, which already exists, right? Ayomide 2, which already exists, right? Ayomide 3, right? Let's put 1 here. 1, right? Which already exists. So what we can do, we can say while existing usernames dot includes username. So what does this include do? Let me show you. Let me quickly show you before we go there. If I come here and say console.log existing username dot includes Ayomide 1, what will it do? It will check if Ayomide 1 is in existing usernames, right? Let's just log it to this console, and you see that is true. Let's say Ayomide 10, which it doesn't have. You see that is false, right? It will just check if that array has that value. So let's continue what we are doing. So while existing username includes our username that the user entered, which is this one, and it actually does include it, what do we want to do? We want to do current index index, which is 0. First of all, we want to increment this index by saying index plus plus. Let's change it to suffix, right? Suffix plus plus, which will increase this by 1, right? So what we can do, we can override the username. We can say the new username should be username plus suffix dot to string. This to string is optional, but you know what string means now. So we have 1, which is the current value, which would be a number. So to convert it to string, you can just say 1 dot to string. Oh, you can't do that. But just like I did here, to convert it to string, something like this, right? And don't forget that when you say Ayomide plus 1, you are going to get Ayomide 1. That's concatenation. I think we did that somewhere here. I should be adding comment to these things. Yeah, somewhere here. So this place we didn't convert it to string. So let's just do without converting it to string. It will still work. So yeah, yeah. So why this username is part of this username, yeah. Increase this suffix, change it to 1. If it is 1, change it to 2. And then the new username will now be Ayomide 1. So let's just do something. Let's say before we do that, we want to log something to the console. We want to say console.log username plus exists. Okay, let's say already exists in the system. Trying to add a suffix. Sorry. Trying to add a suffix. So what this will do, we have username, which the user entered. We have suffix, which is 0. So while this username exists here, it should just continue adding suffix until it doesn't exist again. So if we come to the console, so after everything here, we want to come here and say console.log Finally, we got a username that doesn't exist. And what's that username? It is our username, right? So let's come to our browser and refresh. Okay, let me add one space here. Oh, we have a minor bug. So let's see. We have iMedia already exists in the system, trying to add the suffix. So it's added one, right? Again, iMedia one already exists in the system, trying to add the suffix. So what it did again was to add two to the end. If you look at this, where is it? If you, oh, okay. If you look at what we did here, in a case where this thing already ran, right? Username will now be iMedia one. So if we now add another one here again, okay, at this point, suffix is one, but because we are doing this, it is making the one become two, right? So doing this again, we'll now add another two here. And that's not what we want. We want it like this. Try one first, try two first, try three first, right? So what we should do is to say original username, which the user entered is Ayomide, right? Let's now say username to use, username to use, hold on please. All right. So what was I doing? So what we wanted to achieve is 1, 2, 3. So I said original username is Ayomide. Username to use is original username, right? It should just be the same as original username for now. So existing username, we want to check if the username to use is there. So if it is not there, sorry, if it is there, we just want to add, we just want to come here and say username to use should now be the original username plus our suffix. Change this to original username. Remove this guy, and you should be good. We have an error. Username is not defined. I think we are using username somewhere here. Username to use. And again, username to use. Sorry, this should be username to use, not original username. So let's reload this, and we can see we now have Ayomide. Let's do some colorings here. Yeah, Ayomide already exists in the system. Trying to add suffix. Again, it's added suffix, which is 1, right? Checked it again. Ayomide already exists. Trying to add suffix. Added 2, added 3, and you notice we don't have Ayomide 4 here. So which means that username doesn't exist in the system. And finally, we got a username that doesn't exist, Ayomide 4. So that's most likely the case, the use case for while loops. Am I able to answer your question? Was I able to answer your question? Can anyone hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, sir.
All right. So that is that about while loop. While loop, yes. So now we'll be going to for each loop. All right. So for each loops, it's just like you iterating on each items in an array, right? Iterating on each items in an array. So what we can do is to say, where is it? Fruits dot for each, right? This is going to receive a callback. Or let me say it is going to receive a function. The function is going to receive a single fruit. Don't forget this is an array. This is plural. It is going to receive a fruit, which is singular. And what we can do is to say console.log fruits, right? So let's come here and refresh. We now have apple, banana, orange, and apple, right? Another thing we can have here, I think, is the index. Yeah, the index. If I put the index here as well, we should have the index in front of them. So 0, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, I think something we forgot to mention is that the index of an array starts from 0. Normally, when you are doing your normal 1, 2, 3, you start counting from 1, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. But for arrays, the first item has an index of 0. It starts from 0. The next one is 1. The third one is 2, and the fourth one is 3. Right? How can we test that? We can say console.log. We can get the item in the third index or in the first index, which is 0, by saying fruits. We want to get the item in this index, which is 0. Let's come here, refresh. You see we have apple. Let me comment what we have here out. Refresh. You see we have apple. So let me come back here again. 1, that will give us banana. 2, it will give us orange, and 3 will give us pineapple. 4 should give us an error. Undefined. We don't have that index. So yes, index in an array starts from 0, right? So the use case for each loop is that, let's say you want to do something for each of them, right? Let's say someone says I should give, let's say we have an array of students, right? Yeah, we have an array of students, right? Their objects of name is, we have the name is Toyi Badebayo, right? And the age is 10. We have another student, which the name is Fawaz Mitogu or Mitogu, and then the age is 20, right? Let's just add one more. We have someone else. Let's see, Kanem Glory, and then age is 15. So let's say I have an assignment, which is to do what? Okay, let's work with age for now, which is to increase the age of all of them. I'm going to use for each group, for each loop, to loop through each of them and give them a new. No, that's not a for each. Okay, for each loop to work, and to give them a new age. In real sense, that's not what for each loop would do for you. But in this case, we just want to log it to the console, so for each should just work. So all we can do is to say for each of them, So students is an array, Abi. Students is an array of objects. Students is plural. Is an array of objects. We want to look through each of them, and we have access to students here, a single student. First of all, let's log to the console students.name, right? So we can know their name. Am I having up here? On what type console on function line 84. Line 84. So this should be console.log. Yeah. So we have these three people. I can first of all say age is students.age, right? So I can refresh this and I can see their age in front of them. So the assignment was that I should increase their age, right? I can just say students.age plus 4. Give all of them for age with their current age. No. Let's put this in brackets. Yeah. So we have an addition of four years on each of them's age, right? That's for each. Something else we can do is to say what else can we do? It's just to know, it's just for each is just to do something with all of them, right? Do something with everything in that array. Look through all of them and do something with it. Is that clear? All right. I think we are done with loopings. I should rename this to loops. Come here and say loops. Yeah. So we are good. We are good on that. The next thing we want to look at is array methods, right? Array methods. We have a couple of them. We'll be touching some of them, not everything. Let's start with map. Let me create another file, array methods.js, right? Let's copy this our array from here, the students, and then console.log students. What I want to do, I want to comment this out and say array methods.js. So come here, we have, so what we did here is to log our students to the array, to the console, right? And we have these guys, which they're also here in the console. Let me expand. You can see what we have. We have age, everything is still intact, right? So let's now change. We want to change something. Let's do something. Let's say verified should be true, right? Verified should be false. Verified should be false. So you can see all of them. So, okay, the first person has true, second has false, and the third has false, which is what we have here. So our first, the first array method we want to look at is map, right? Array map. So what would that do? Let me explain to you. Array map. So array map will look through each of them and transform the value of each of them, right? Let me show you. I can come here and say constant new students. New students, right, is what? Is students dot map. Don't forget I said array map. So dot map. Again, this would also receive a callback function, and this is the function. Inside this iteration would have access to a single student. Don't forget this is plural. This is single, right? So the difference between this map and for each is that for each just does what you want it to do. Where is it? It should be here. It will just do what you want it to do, right? But map is supposed to transform the value of this guy. So I can say instead of it being an object, I just want to change it. Let me just come here and say student names, right? So I want to map through all of them and return students dot name, right? And then I want to log to my console. Students names. I'll comment this out, refresh this, and you can see we now have an array of their names instead of the old student objects, right? And I can also say I want only their name, which is students.name, right? And what again? Their, let's say their age. No, verified. Verified is what? Students.verified. Don't do that. Okay. So we have our students' names here. Okay, I think, okay, so the new iteration now returns an object of the name and the verified. So what we can see here is the name and verified. So again, map will transform the value of that iteration, which is the students. And again, I can just return students dot h, right? It depends on whatever I need. If I need an array of their name, students dot name, and we should be good here. I mentioned something somewhere here, somewhere in, is it here? Here, that if it is a one-liner, we can use, if the code block is just one line, we can use a one-liner method, a function, one-liner function, or anonymous function rather, and what you prefer to call it. So instead of having to go this long route, we can just say students.name, students.name, right? And refresh this, we should be good. So that is that about array maps. The next thing I want us to look at is filter, array filter. So I said array map will to transform the values, Abby. Array map examples. So now we want to look at array filters, right? Array filters. So what filter will do is to remove the ones we don't want, right? Is to filter out the ones we don't want, just like the name is. We can say now we have a boolean here. We can say verified students. Verified students is what? Students. Students, our plural. Then filter. Filter is the method we want to use. Again, this will receive a callback function. And inside the for callback function, we have access to the singular student, right? We want to filter only those that are verified. So we can say return, this expects a boolean. So return student that's verified. So if this condition is true, that means it will be part of our filter of our final array. So what we can do is to console.log verified students, right? Let me comment this out. Just leave it and come here and refresh. We have just one verified student, right? And if we say not verified, we want to have unverified students, verified unverified students. What we can do here is to say student.verified is false. If it is false, right, that means they are unverified. So I want to console.log unverified students. Let's refresh. We have something in our console, but it's very easy to get lost here. We can see verified students, and we can see unverified students, right? So let me come here and refresh. So our verified student is just this guy, Toib Adebayo, and unverified ones are Fawaz and Glory, right? I did something here. I said student that's verified is false. Don't forget I said that we have a not sign in every programming language. We have a not sign somewhere here, not operator, right? So I can just come here and say if not student that's verified, if not verified, it should be part of the unverified students. So what I can do, come here, refresh, and that still works. Does anyone have any question on that? All right. I guess there's no question. I think the next method we want to look at is push. Push. Array push. Array push. Let's just say other methods. Right. Array push. We have our students here, but we want to add another student. Right. How do we do it? We can come here. We can come here and say students dot push. You know what? Let's create a variable for our new students. The one we want to add, let's say constant new students. And what do we do? Let's copy glory. Let's copy glory. And put someone else there. We can put Henry here. Right. Let's say it's 10 and it's verified too. So what we can do is that we have our new student that now we want to add him to part of the existing students. We can say array.push new students. And at the end of the day, we want to also log students. Okay, we can say updated students. So let's go to our console, refresh. We now have, you can see we now have up to 4. We used to have 3, we now have up to 4. We have him here. So array.push, the push method of an array is to add new item to the array, right? We have array.pop as well. Array.pop. Array.pop. I think pop is to remove one from the items. So let's just come here. Now that we have 4 students, we want to come here and say, let's add something, updated students with push. And we want to come here and say constant new students is what? Students dot pop, right? So if we come here and say console.log, let me copy this. Dot pop, updated students array with pop, new students, and let's refresh this. So with pop, we got just the last student. Are you getting me? This should be singular. Or let's say last students, which got us the last students in the array. So that's what pop method does. It gets us the last one from the array. And not just that, if you now do, okay, let's do it this way. Pop would remove, it would remove the last one from the array, return it to this value, and then if we come back again and log our students, you see we now have 3 back. It will remove the last one, and then it will remove the last one, right? Then return it to this variable and update these students. So instead of having 4 students, we now have 3. You most likely not be using pop. I've not seen much people using it like that. So that's that about pop. I think we have, what else do we have? Those are the most common ones. So I did something here. I did something in loops that was doing this, right? Do you know we can also say, if I come here and say console.log me the students in the index 2. Don't forget I said index starts from 0. So this is 0, 1, 2. We are expecting glory. If I come here and refresh, we have glory here. Do you know that aside from doing this, I can say student.add2. It will still do the same thing. We still have our glory here. So yeah, that about array methods. Array methods. One last thing I want us to touch is array objects. Not array objects, object creations. Object creations in JavaScript. So again, I'll create a new file and say objects.js. Yes, objects.js. We come here. How am I doing? Yeah. So yeah, objects. An object is a variable that holds many variables. So just like we have in this array method, this is an object. This is an object. This new student is an object. It is an array that holds many variables in key value pairs, right? In key value pairs. So this is how an object is created, the key and the value. So whenever you see somewhere and they say key value pairs, this is what they mean, right? So if I say name is glory, this is key, this is the key, and this is the value. Objects are collections of key value pairs where each of them has each of those keys has their property names, or they are called property names. So this key is actually the property name. Which property does this object have? It has the name, right? Another property is the age of 10 or 20. Another property is gender of male. We're having an error of male. They're supposed to be strings, if I'm correct. No, not so. Understand someone, and our error disappeared. So this is an object. This is how to declare an object. They are key value pairs, and these guys have so you can use objects to describe anything in your system, like houses, cars, people, animal, or any other subject, right? I can say a car. Constant car is what are the properties of a car? We can say the name is I say Camry. Let's use Lexus. We can say the model is IS 500, right? Sorry. We can say the weights. Those are the attributes. So we can say the weight is 850 kg. We can say the color is white. Many other attributes, right? Objects can also have methods. Objects can also have method, but we'll still come back to that. Let's declare another object. Let me just copy what I have here. So this is an object of person. It has a first name, last name, age, and eye color. An actual person, right? I think we've done something like saying person dot first name. That was what we did somewhere here. Where is it? Students dot is somewhere here. So to get an attribute of an object, just say the object dot the attribute. Let me just console.log this person dot first name, right? You should have John, and that's how to get the object. That's how to get an attribute or a property of an object. So I said objects can also have methods, right? When you have a car, you can start a car, right? So we can say start. Methods are always functions, right? Don't forget I said functions are like block of codes. It doesn't execute until it is being triggered. You as an human, you have the ability to talk, right? But you can decide not to talk until you are being triggered. When you have a car, you can start the car, but the car won't start by itself until you start it by yourself. So what do we want to do? We want to have the start method. So what should happen? What should happen when they trigger the start will be inside this callback. right? And what do I want to happen? I can see console.log zoom. Yeah. So that means our car has started. Or let's just do console.log car started. Console. Am I still connected? Can everyone still hear me? Sharp. So how do we start our car? We can just come here. Let's come here and say console dot no, not console.log. We can just say car.start. This is how you start your car. Are you getting me? So you can see zoom car started. We can come here again and say we can come here and say stop, right? Which is to stop the engine. Console.log engine stopped, right? Don't forget I said these methods will not functions will not execute until they are being called. So how do you stop this car? Don't forget we have one funny button here, click me. So that's what we'll use. We'll just come here and say, what's the idea of that button again? Our button. Just come here and say document dot get element by ID. Our button dot on click should do what? Car dot stop. Stop the car, right? So if I click here, car started by default because we are calling it here, right? So if I click here, you can see engine stopped, right? So one other thing we can do is to say is running or engine running is false, right? So when we start the car, we want to say engine running is true. This dot engine running is true, right? And this dot engine running is false. So let's come here, click, everything still works. But we are stopping the engine more than once now. That's an issue. If the engine is already stopped, we don't want it to be stopped again. So what we can do is to come here and say, if this dot, if not, right? This dot engine running, right? We want to console dot error. The engine of this car is not running. How then do we stop it? So yeah, let me refresh. Stop engine. Oh, I think we have an issue. This should be set to false, to true. Stop if not engine running. That shouldn't be an issue. And I think I'll have to return here. Sure, that's a problem. Is there another way to set attributes here? Okay, let's do something. After starting the engine, let's do console.log car. Let's see what we have. Engine running is true, right? Then let's log our engine running here again. Engine running is undefined. Undefined. What if we remove this? Yes. I think we should be good. So our engine is not stopping now. Hold on. So again, this is supposed to be this engine running. This engine running, right? I expect this to work. Are we getting undefined? Okay, so I think the issue was from the button we're clicking it from. What we can do, we can do without the button, right? What we can do is we've stopped the engine. Okay, so we started the engine, logged the car to the console, and we stopped the engine, right? Now let's try to stop that engine again. If we try to stop it again, we now have an error. Engine stopped the first time. You want me to stop it again? We have this console.error that we logged here somewhere here, right? So the moment the point of this return that we have here is that whenever you return in a function, it won't execute other block of code in that place. Let me comment out this return and make clear. So you see, it stopped the engine, log this error to the console, and stop the engine again, which is not supposed to be so. So when there's an error, you return so that it won't execute other things under the tree, under the execution tree. So yeah, we have this. Is there any question? Do you have any question from anyone? I think that is all we'll be covering for today. I'll be taking questions now. All right, Henry.
Good evening, sir. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Good evening.
Yeah. So my question goes back to last week's lectures. A couple of us, including myself, missed the lecture for last week, and we were expecting that it should be uploaded to the YouTube channel. But so far, so good. As at yesterday, we didn't see the upload, so we are totally behind, struggling to catch up to this lecture.
Okay, for that, I'll have to have a sync with Mr. Ishilua or Mr. Christopher so that they can upload it. They are the one in charge of that. So I'll just have a sync with them tonight. And I think tomorrow it should be uploaded.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome. Is there anyone else? All right, Mr. Toyib,
Good evening, sir.
it's good evening.
Uh, that was the question I want to ask before about the class, but I saw notification now. I think they have dropped the class on YouTube now.
Okay.
I saw the notification now. So and also I want to ask, there's no any class on the LMS this week?
Yeah, so I mentioned earlier that this our session, this current one that we are having now, is being recorded, and that is what we are going to post on the LMS for this week. And then the new ones will be uploaded before our next session
Oh,
on
all right.
Sunday. All right. Do you have any question from anyone else? Okay, I think if we don't have, we are good to go. Thank you everyone for joining this session once again. Have a nice, have a nice week. The week is starting tomorrow. Have a nice week ahead. See you all again next week. Bye.
Yeah, thank you very much, sir.